Ambassador Taehyun stood at the window of the alien ship. His four round eyes blinked as he tried to understand what was happening. 3 days ago, his people got a message from an unknown group called humans. These humans wanted to meet at the edge of space. The council sent their best team to say hello to these new space travelers. "Are we in the right place?" Taehyun asked. He turned to look at Jisoo, who was checking her maps and screens. "Yes, Ambassador. We are exactly where they told us to be," Jisoo said. Her long, thin arms moved quickly over her controls, but our machines don't see any ships nearby. Captain Min-jae walked up to the window. He had met many new aliens before. Maybe they are late? Perhaps these new people don't have fast ships yet. Then a small sound came from the message desk. Hiram, who worked with messages, stood up straight. Her head stems pointed up in shock. "Ambassador, I'm getting a message. They say they are already here. They want to know if we want them to decloak?" The three leaders looked at each other, confused. Hiding ships with special technology was just an idea among their scientists. No one they knew could hide anything bigger than a small one-person ship. "Tell them yes," Taehyun said slowly. What they saw next would change how they thought about the whole galaxy. The empty space in front of them began to shimmer and wave, like air above hot ground. Then, like magic, a huge ship started to appear bit by bit. First they saw the edges, then the big middle part, and finally the whole massive ship. The human battleship Indomitable showed itself. It was huge. Their own ship, one of the biggest they had, looked tiny next to it. The human ship was at least 3 kilometers long from front to back. Its dark outer shell had many weapon spots all over it. The big engines at the back glowed with strange blue light that their scientists had never seen before. "By the 7 moons, Captain Min-jae said in a quiet voice. "How can this be? A type of alien we've never met before. With such amazing machines?" Taehyun couldn't talk. His mind was racing. His people always thought they were the most advanced in their part of space. This one ship showed they were wrong. "Ambassador," Hiram called out with a shaky voice. "They're sending another message. They're asking us to come onto their ship for our meeting." Taehyun took a deep breath. "Accept their invitation and tell the council right away. Everything we know has changed." The next day, Taehyun and his team prepared to visit the human ship. They had spent the night studying all the information they had about the Indomitable. Their scientists were still trying to understand how such a massive ship could appear out of nowhere. "Are the transport pods ready?" Taehyun asked as he adjusted his formal robes. First meetings were very important. "Yes, Ambassador," said security, Chief Woo Jin. "But I must say again, I think we should bring more guards." Taehyun shook his head. "No. If these humans wanted to harm us, they could have done so already. Their ship could destroy ours without effort. We go as planned. Myself, Captain Min-jae, Science Officer Do-hyun, and you." The small transport pod left their ship and moved slowly toward the giant human vessel. Up close, the Indomitable seemed even bigger. Its dark metal shell had strange symbols and markers along its side. As they got closer, a large door opened on the side of the ship, glowing with soft white light. "They're guiding us in," Do-hyun said, his scientific tools beeping as they recorded everything. "The opening is large enough for ships much bigger than our pod." Their pod slipped into the huge open bay of the human ship. Inside was a massive room that could hold dozens of ships their size. Several smaller human vessels were parked neatly in rows. Workers in different colored suits moved around, some stopping to look at the alien visitors. When their pod landed, a group of humans was waiting for them. Taehyun had seen pictures of humans in the message they sent, but seeing them in person was different. They stood taller than any of his people, with just 2 eyes and strange fur on top of their heads. They wore neat uniforms with colored marks on their shoulders. One human stepped forward as the aliens came out of their pod. This human had more marks on their uniform than the others. "Ambassador Taehyun," the human said in perfect Confederation language. "I am Commander Sunmi of the Earth Fleet ship Indomitable. Welcome aboard." Taehyun felt his inner hearts beating fast. This was it. First contact with a species that had technology far beyond their own. What they learned today would change everything for the Confederation. "Commander Sunmi," he said, performing the formal greeting gesture with all four of his arms. "On behalf of the Galactic Confederation, we are honored to meet you and your people." Commander Sunmi smiled, showing flat white teeth. "The honor is ours, Ambassador. If you'll follow me, Admiral Jahi is waiting to meet you in the diplomatic room. We have much to discuss about our future together among the stars." As they walked through the massive ship, following their human hosts, Taehyun couldn't help but wonder, were these humans friends, or were they something to fear? Either way, the galaxy had suddenly become a much bigger place. Science Officer Do-hyun had never felt so small. Walking through the cavernous corridors of the human battleship Indomitable alongside his diplomatic team, he couldn't stop staring at everything. The Confederation prided itself on its technological prowess, but the human vessel made their most advanced ships look like primitive constructs. "And this is just one of our standard illustrious class vessels," explained Commander Sunmi, their human guide. "Not even our newest model." The human was tall, taller than any species in the Confederation, with a strong physical form wrapped in a crisp blue and gold uniform. Do-hyun noticed how effortlessly she moved despite the ship's artificial gravity being slightly stronger than Confederation standard. "How many of these vessels does your civilization possess?" asked Ambassador Taehyun. Commander Sunmi smiled politely. "I'm not authorized to share specific fleet numbers during a first contact scenario, Ambassador. I hope you understand." The diplomatic team was led into what appeared to be an observation deck. Through enormous transparent steel windows, Do-hyun could see their own diplomatic vessel floating like a toy beside the massive human battleship. "Perhaps we could discuss your propulsion systems," Do-hyun ventured, unable to contain his scientific curiosity. "Our sensors detected unusual energy signatures when your ship decloaked." You're referring to our Hawking drive," Commander Sunmi replied. "It utilizes localized space-time manipulation to achieve faster-than-light travel without the traditional limitations of relativity." Do-hyun's recording device nearly slipped from his tentacle. The Confederation's finest minds had theorized about such technology for centuries without practical success. "And your weaponry?" Captain Minji asked, eyeing what appeared to be missile tubes running along the ship's exterior. "Standard defensive arrays," Commander Sunmi said casually. "Kinetic impact missiles, plasma-based energy weapons, and our main Helios cannons, which utilize artificial solar fusion reactions. All very standard for our defense forces." Ambassador Taehyun exchanged alarmed glances with his team. None of this was standard by Confederation measures. The technological gap was not a matter of decades, but possibly centuries. "Here we are," Commander Sunmi announced as they approached a grand door. "Admiral Jahi will see you now in the diplomatic reception chamber." As the doors slid open, revealing a magnificent chamber filled with other humans in uniform, Do-hyun leaned close to Ambassador Taehyun and whispered, "We need to tread carefully. These humans, they're either going to be our greatest allies or—" He left the alternative unspoken. Fleet Admiral Jae-hee stood at the center of the holographic tactical display, her weathered face illuminated by the blue glow of projected star systems. Around the table stood the Confederation diplomatic team, their various appendages and sensory organs all focused on the simulation playing out before them. "As requested by your science officer, we're providing a small demonstration of our tactical capabilities," Admiral Jae-hee explained, her voice carrying the weight of someone accustomed to command. Ambassador Taehyun noticed how different this human was from Commander Sunmi. Where Sunmi had been diplomatic and measured, Admiral Jae-hee carried herself with unmistakable military precision. Her uniform bore countless small symbols that Taehyun assumed denoted rank and accomplishment. "The scenario you're witnessing," continued the Admiral, "is based on a minor skirmish our Third Fleet engaged in against the Scourge pirates in the Antares sector last year." The hologram showed 5 human vessels, each smaller than the Indomitable but still impressively large, facing off against nearly 30 ships of unfamiliar design. These pirates had been terrorizing independent colonies in that region, Admiral Jae-hee explained. They had developed a reputation for being untouchable due to their superior numbers and mobility. The simulation continued. The pirate vessels moved with impressive coordination, attempting to surround the human ships. What happened next left the Confederation representatives in stunned silence. The human vessels didn't retreat or adopt a defensive posture. Instead, they accelerated directly into the pirate formation. Weapons that had been theoretical in Confederation, research fired with devastating precision. 3 pirate ships were disabled in the first exchange. When the pirates returned fire, their weapons splashed harmlessly against what appeared to be energy shields of incredible resilience. Your defensive capabilities. Security Chief Wu Jin finally spoke, his voice barely above a whisper. They're remarkable. Admiral Jae-hee nodded in acknowledgement. Our phase shift barriers can redistribute kinetic and energy impacts across multiple dimensional planes, effectively neutralizing up to 97% of conventional attacks. The simulation concluded with the pirate fleet retreating, having lost nearly a third of their vessels without inflicting significant damage on any human ship. This was a minor engagement, Admiral Jae-hee emphasized, not representative of our full military doctrine or capabilities. Ambassador Tae-hyun struggled to maintain his diplomatic composure. If this was considered minor by human standards, what would a major conflict look like? Admiral, Tae-hyun said carefully, the Confederation has enjoyed peace for many generations. We focus our resources on scientific and cultural advancement, rather than military might. Admiral Jae-hee's expression softened slightly. Ambassador, make no mistake. Humanity shares that focus. Our ships are primarily exploratory and defensive. We build them this way because we've learned through bitter experience that the galaxy can be a dangerous place. The unspoken question hung in the air. What experiences had shaped humanity to build such formidable vessels? The diplomatic reception had transitioned to a formal dinner in a grand hall aboard the Indomitable. The Confederation team sat interspersed with human officers, sharing a carefully prepared meal that accommodated the various biological needs of all species present. Cultural attaché Ji Woo, responsible for understanding the sociological aspects of new species, found herself seated beside Commander Yoon-ha, the battleship's executive officer. Your vessel is truly remarkable, Ji Woo said, manipulating her eating utensils with practiced care. But I confess I'm curious about something more fundamental than technology. Commander Yoon-ha raised an eyebrow. And what might that be? Your history, Ji Woo replied. What shaped humans to build ships like this? The Confederation archives contain histories of thousands of species, and typically, this level of military development comes from difficult circumstances. Yuna was silent, for a moment, setting down her utensil and taking a sip from her glass. You're very perceptive, she finally said. Humanity's path to the stars wasn't peaceful. We nearly destroyed ourselves multiple times before we unified. Around the table, other conversations quieted, as both humans and Confederation representatives tuned in to Yuna's words. Our first interstellar colonies were established with dreams of peace and exploration, Yuna continued. But 60 years ago we encountered the Ravagers. Admiral Jae-hee, overhearing this, gave a subtle nod of permission for Yoon-ha to continue. The Ravagers didn't communicate or negotiate. They simply attacked our outer colonies without warning. 3 settlements, millions of lives were lost before we could even mount a response. A heavy silence fell over the room. We had been naive, Yuna said, her voice carrying a weight that transcended species barriers. We'd ventured into space with exploration vessels and lightly armed colony ships. After the attacks, humanity united in a way it never had before. We redesigned our fleet, developed new technologies, and built ships like the Indomitable. Ambassador, Tae-hyun leaned forward. These Ravagers, do they still pose a threat? Admiral Jae-hee answered. We haven't encountered them in nearly 15 years. Our border fleets maintain constant vigilance, but the last confirmed sighting was in the Perseus Arm. Which is precisely why we were so interested when we detected Confederation activity in this region, Commander Yoon-ha added. We hope to find allies, not new threats. Science Officer Do-hyun's multiple eyes blinked in rapid succession. The Confederation has never encountered anything like these ravagers. Our territory has been remarkably free of hostile species. Then you've been fortunate, Admiral He said solemnly, and perhaps we can help ensure it stays that way. The implications weren't lost on anyone present. The humans were offering protection from threats the Confederation hadn't even known existed. I believe, Ambassador Taehyun said, carefully, that this dinner has become far more significant than a mere diplomatic formality. 7 days later, Ambassador Taehyun stood in front of the big Confederation Council meeting. The huge round room was filled with leaders from over 300 different alien types. Everyone was very quiet. Council members, Taehyun began, my team spent the last week on the human ship Indomitable. We looked at their history books, we studied their machines. We talked about how our peoples might work together. He stopped talking for a moment to take a breath. I must be clear. These humans could be our greatest friend or our biggest worry in many, many years. The room filled with quiet whispers. Their machines are hundreds of years better than our best ones. Their fighting ships are stronger than anything we have. But most important, they have fought scary enemies in space that we never knew about. Elder Sangho, the oldest and most respected council leader, leaned forward in his chair. Ambassador, are you saying these humans might hurt the Confederation? No, Elder, Taehyun said firmly. That is exactly what I am not saying. The humans have been open and honest. They want peace. They gave us new technology information for free. Our scientists are still trying to understand it all. They offered to protect us without asking us to serve them. The room erupted with loud talking. Many council members were scared. Others were excited. Some were angry. Taehyun waited for everyone to quiet down. Think about this, he continued when people stopped talking. For thousands of years, we thought we were the smartest, most advanced people in this part of space. We have met and made friends with many new space travelers. But now we meet humans who grew up alone, fighting enemies we can't imagine, and they are far ahead of us. Elder Sangho looked very serious. What do you think we should do, Ambassador? Make a complete alliance, Taehyun said without waiting. Not just simple trade deals or saying hello. A real partnership for protection and sharing technology. The humans call it the Orion Cooperative Defense Initiative. Just then, the big screen in the room turned on by itself. It showed the human ships now flying around the Confederation's main planet. There was not just one, but 3 massive battleships, like the Indomitable. A new voice filled the room. Admiral He speaking from the lead ship. Respected Council of the Galactic Confederation, I speak for all humans. Our ships come in peace and friendship. We offer to work together against dangers that hide among the stars. Humans have had a hard path to get here, but that has made us strong, and we want to share that strength with you. The room was completely silent. Everyone understood how important this moment was. The humans have a saying, Ambassador Taehyun said quietly. United, we stand. Divided, we fall. I think it is time for the Confederation to stand with humanity. Then, it was time to vote. Each council member had to decide, join with the humans or not. One by one they voted. Some were still scared, but most saw the wisdom in making friends with such powerful people. In the end, most voted yes. The alliance was approved. That night, the capital city had a big celebration. Bright lights filled the sky. Music played in the streets. People from many different planets ate, drank, and danced together. Science officer. Dohyun stood with Commander Sunmi on a balcony above the city. They watched the happy crowds below. It's hard to believe how fast things changed, Dohyun said. Just 1 week ago, we didn't know humans existed. Now your big ships fly over our world and everyone is having a party. Sunmi smiled. She looked up at the night sky where they could see the outline of the Indomitable against the stars. That's how life works, Dohyun. Big changes can happen very fast. What matters is how we handle those changes. I wonder what will happen when the Ravagers find out that humans and the Confederation are now friends, Dohyun said quietly. Commander Sunmi's face became serious. Let them come. Before, they only fought humans by themselves. Now they'll have to fight all of us together. Up in the sky, the human battleships kept watch, a promise to keep everyone safe, a sign of new friendship, and a warning to any enemy that might try to attack. Humanity had joined the galactic family, and nothing would ever be the same. 3. Months after the alliance began, things were changing quickly. Human teachers came to Confederation worlds to help with new technology. Confederation scientists went to human ships to learn. Both sides were sharing what they knew. Taehyun had been made the official ambassador to humans. He now had an office on both the Confederation capital world and on Earth, the human home planet. Today, he was meeting with Admiral Jae-hee in a new building made just for their two peoples to work together. The defense grid for the outer colonies will be ready next month, Admiral Jae-hee said, pointing to a map of stars. We've placed early warning systems in these sectors here. Taehyun nodded. Our people are still amazed at how fast your engineers work. It would have taken us years to build those systems. Working together makes us both stronger, Jae-hee said, with a smile. Your scientists have helped us improve our medical technology. Your star maps have saved us decades of exploration time. Their meeting was interrupted when an aide rushed in. The young human looked worried. Admiral, Ambassador, we've received an emergency signal from Deep Space Outpost 7. They detected unusual energy signatures at the edge of charted space. Admiral Jae-hee stood up quickly. Show me. The aide pressed buttons on a small device and a 3D image appeared in the air. It showed strange-looking ships moving in formation. Ravagers, Jae-hee said, her voice cold. A scout fleet. Taehyun felt, his 4 hearts beating faster. Are you certain? I fought them enough to know, Jae-hee replied. They're testing our defenses, seeing if the Alliance has made any changes to this sector. What do we do? Taehyun asked. Exactly what we planned. 4, Jae-hee said. She pressed a button on the table. This is Admiral Jae-hee. Implement Defense Protocol Echo 7. This is not a drill. Within minutes, alarms were sounding throughout the building. On screens around the room, they could see both human and Confederation ships preparing for battle. Ambassador, Jae-hee said, turning to Taehyun. It seems our alliance will be tested sooner than we expected. Are your people ready? Taehyun thought about how much had changed in just a few months, how his people had learned from the humans, how they were stronger together. Yes, Admiral, he said with certainty. We are ready. As they walked quickly to the command center, Taehyun remembered the moment he first saw the human battleship appear, out of nowhere. The awe he felt then was nothing compared to the hope he felt now. The two civilizations, so different yet now working as one, were about to face their first challenge together, and Taehyun knew they would win.